What grounds me outside of therapy is sitting actually in the messiness a little bit. I really appreciate the diversity of the human experience and uh, how complex we are. And people, they're just so interesting. I love learning about people's stories, and doing that makes me feel connected to others. On a more practical note, I am a huge crafter, so crocheting, painting, things like that, creating things always grounds me. And especially when I get to do that with other people, I am like the uh, case person for knitting clubs and things like that. So being able to connect with humans and create something, it's also really nice to see a product of the things that you're doing while you're using your hands. I think the way that that shows up for clients is in that co creation. I see therapy in the same kind of way. We're creating something together. It could be two individuals doing something independently, but still being in each other's presence, or literally making something a piece of art together. But really, it shows up for therapy in that, and that is very communal. And I kind of see both things happening parallel to one another, and they're very much the same for me. If my therapy style was a metaphor, I would say the first image that comes to mind is a tightrope walker. Like if you ever went to the circus as like a kid or went to a carnival, you see these people doing something that looks really scary. They're up on this high rope and everything, and they're walking on this line, and it's pretty precarious sometimes. And you'd be terrified to also be up there with them. But the way that I see it is that the client is the tightrope walker. They are the ones that are doing the work to get from one side to the other. And I would probably be like the net that's beneath it, to catch them in the event that something happens, or if, they have like a little slack line to kind of hold on to them if they get a little unsteady. But they really are the ones doing all of the work, and I'm just there to provide support and provide safety while they do that. And also probably be the other person on the other side going, "You can do it," and make sure and give them a hug and a high five when they get to the other side. One thing that I think gets overlooked or, not thought of when it comes to therapy is that progress is not linear. I think people have an expectation that their progress, if we look at a chart, is just going to go up or like maybe stay stagnant. And that, we as humans are complex and we're messy. So it only makes sense that our progress while we work through all of the big things that we're experiencing also are messy, and that it's not an indication of a failure or an indication that something's going wrong, that your line may look like a little squiggly. It always will look squiggly. We just don't like to, talk about it because everybody's expecting that perfect line that just keeps going up. And that sitting in those liminal spaces and not knowing is also, well, kind of scary. Something not to be afraid of. They're actually very helpful and very useful. And I encourage people to think of that liminal space that they may sit in, as, yeah, you might be fumbling around, like trying to like pat your hands around to look for a direction or for something to grasp onto, uh, and you will find unexpected and potentially helpful things while you're in that space too. It's really easy to get overwhelmed by like not knowing where you are, what's around you, but there are plenty of possibilities out there. So it's something that, well, a little bit scary. I think people should embrace a little bit more. I would hope that being in the room with me feels like you're catching up with an old friend, and like a reliable friend, someone who's not going to judge you, and someone who's going to sit there in the messiness, the joys, and the tears, and know that you're gonna be held. The highest compliment I think I've ever been given, by somebody, was that it was akin to being in a room with Uncle Iroh. So all of my Avatar: The Last Airbender friends will know what that means. Uh, But that, I think, maybe having some tea with Uncle Iroh is how I would hope people would feel when they're in the room with me. And I also hope that, by the end of our time together, that they feel a little bit better than they did coming in, whatever that looks and feels like for them. I want my clients to walk out of our sessions feeling like they could be themselves. I want them to have felt supported, heard, listened to, and understood, and that they have a space where they can return to and also continue to be themselves. I want them to be able to know that there is a place for them with somebody that's not going to judge them, and somebody that is going to support them and empower them and see them for who they really are.